Welcome to this Crypto Visionary Network Explainer. Today we're going to dig into a really interesting player in the crypto infrastructure space. It's called LiquiFi.
Yeah, and it's a name that might ring a bell, but maybe not quite how you think.
Exactly. There's definitely some potential for confusion out there. So our goal today is simple. Give you the lowdown on this specific LiquiFi, what it does, why it matters, and why a major player like Coinbase decided to acquire them.
Right, that's key. Because, there are a couple of different projects or companies floating around with very similar names. So just to be super clear, we are talking about the LiquiFi that's all about token management.
The one Coinbase bought.
The one Coinbase bought, yes. It's basically a platform built to help companies streamline how they handle token launches, manage their digital assets, things like that. It's really becoming crucial infrastructure.
Makes sense.
Oh, and just a quick heads up before we dive in properly. The information we're sharing today, well, it comes from various online sources. Some might have used AI in compiling their data. We've tried our best to be accurate, but, mistakes can happen.
Always good to keep in mind.
Definitely. And remember, nothing we say here is financial advice. This is purely for education. You should always do your own research, use your common sense, always.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's start right at the beginning. For anyone maybe not familiar, what is LiquiFi fundamentally? And what's the core problem they're tackling that got Coinbase interested?
So at its core, LiquiFi is this specialized software platform. It's designed specifically for token management.
Okay. Not a token itself, then?
No, exactly. You don't trade LiquiFi like a cryptocurrency. It's a service, a tool for companies and crypto projects. It helps them handle all the tricky bits around giving out tokens as compensation.
Like vesting schedules and things.
Precisely. Token compensation, setting up vesting schedules, managing lockups, all that complex stuff. Its main job is helping these organizations set up, manage, and this is key, automate how they distribute tokens to employees, advisors, early investors.
Got it. So taking the manual headache out of it.
Pretty much. The co-founder and CEO, Robin G., has this background in product management, investment banking, and you can kind of see that influence. The goal stated is to maximize the capabilities of tokens for businesses, basically bridging traditional finance needs with the new world of tokens.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can imagine the nightmare spreadsheets people must have used before something like this. So it automates compensation. How does it actually work? What kind of structures does it help set up? It's more than just handing out tokens. Right?
Oh, yeah, much more. It's about doing it properly, in a structured way. LiquiFi supports the kinds of compensation structures you might see with traditional stock equity, just adapted for tokens.
Like stock options, but token options.
Exactly. Things like restricted token awards, RTAs, token options, and restricted token units, or RTUs. They're all different ways companies can grant tokens that, usually come with strings attached. Vesting periods, performance goals, stuff to keep everyone aligned long term.
Okay, so it manages those different types.
Yeah.
What about figuring out how many tokens to give someone? That seems like it could get complicated fast, especially with crypto prices jumping around.
Yeah, that's a huge piece of the puzzle. LiquiFi helps companies manage different ways to calculate that. The simplest one is probably the market value-based approach.
How's that work?
It's straightforward. You decide on a dollar value for the compensation, say $100,000, and then grant the number of tokens equal to that value at the time of the grant.
Simple enough, but I can already see the problem. What if the token price tanks right after? Or moons?
Exactly. That's the massive drawback. LiquiFi materials even talk about this thing called HR debt.
HR debt, what's that?
Okay, imagine Engineer A joins in January. The token's worth $1. Engineer B joins in March, same role, same promised value, but now the token's worth $1.70.
Oh,
Right. Engineer A gets way more tokens for the same promised dollar value just because of market timing. That creates huge unfairness. People talk. Morale drops, you struggle to keep talent. That's the HR debt. It's more than just numbers. It really impacts culture and retention.
Wow, HR debt. That's a really good way to put it. So that market value way sounds risky. What else does LiquiFi help with? How do you avoid that debt?
Well, there are more, let's say, sophisticated approaches. One is using annual token grants.
So smaller grants more often.
Yeah, basically. Instead of one big grant up front, you issue tokens maybe once a year. This lets the company adjust based on the current value, so it smooths out some of that extreme volatility compared to just fixing it on day one.
Okay, that seems better.
It can be, though some argue it might dampen that huge potential upside, the whole getting in early appeal of crypto startups.
Right, the potential for massive gains.
Exactly. So another approach, which is pretty interesting, is the percentage of tokens method.
How does that work? Like a percentage of the whole company?
Sort of, yeah. It's trying to mirror traditional startup equity more closely. Instead of a dollar value, you grant someone a fixed percentage of the total token supply.
Ah, okay. So if the project does well, everyone's slice grows proportionally.
Precisely. It's designed to handle the volatility better, minimize that inequity we talked about, and crucially, it keeps that potential for asymmetric upside. If the whole project value goes up 100x, your percentage is still worth 100x more. It takes more planning up front, understanding the tokenomics,
Sure.
but many see it as the fairest way long term. It really builds that sense of shared ownership no matter when you joined.
That definitely sounds more aligned. Okay, and what about the vesting and lockups themselves? You mentioned those earlier. We hear about them all the time, stopping teams from just dumping tokens.
Yeah, they're absolutely critical for a healthy project. Vesting and lockups, they're basically mechanisms to prevent the core team, advisors, early investors from selling off all their tokens immediately.
Right, which could crash the price.
Totally. It destabilizes everything, shakes confidence. LiquiFi automates setting up and enforcing these schedules. Typically, you see 3 to 4 year vesting periods for the core team, often with a 1-year cliff.
Meaning nothing for the first year.
Exactly. No tokens become fully yours or vested until you hit that 1-year mark. It's pretty standard in tech startups, too. For investors, it's usually a bit shorter, maybe 2 or 3 years. Gives them liquidity a bit sooner, but still encourages them to stick around.
And LiquiFi just handles tracking all that.
Yeah, automates the tracking, the release of tokens according to the schedule. Some projects get fancier with weighted vesting or immediate unlocks for certain things, but the goal is always long-term alignment and market stability. LiquiFi helps standardize how this is all documented, too, which is a big deal because honestly, it's often a mess comparing different projects' vesting terms right now.
It really sounds like they're tackling some deep operational knots.
Yeah.
So beyond the automation and schedule management, what else really makes LiquiFi stand out? You mentioned security, compliance.
Yeah, those are definitely big strengths. I mean, the platform isn't just about convenience, it's about trust and robustness. Security-wise, a huge thing is their SOC 2 compliance.
Okay, what does that actually mean for a user?
It means an independent third-party auditor has gone through their systems and controls with a fine-tooth comb and basically certified that they meet really high standards for security, availability, processing integrity, confidentiality, and privacy. It's a major trust signal, especially in finance and tech.
That's reassuring. Anything else on the security front?
Yes, actually. They also had a quant-stamp security assessment done back in February 2022, specifically on their vesting smart contracts.
And how did that go?
Well, the audit found some things, 21 findings, 11 best practice violations, which, sounds like a lot, but what's impressive is how they handled it. They fixed or mitigated 20 out of the 21 issues.
Okay.
And the crucial part is what they fixed. High-risk stuff like vesting cannot be canceled, you wouldn't want that, or missing input validation, and an unsafe ERC20 interface.
What does that last one mean, unsafe interface?
It basically means the way their contracts were interacting with standard tokens like ERC20s had a potential vulnerability someone might exploit. Fixing things like that proactively and being transparent about the audit results, that really shows a commitment to security. It's a sign of maturity in the space.
Definitely sounds like it. Security is paramount. But even with SOC 2, compliance is always changing in crypto, isn't it? How do they keep up?
That's a constant battle, for sure. The regulatory landscape is, well, a moving target globally. LiquiFi helps by building in flexibility and through partnerships. Like, they partnered with Deal.
Oh yeah, the global payroll company.
That's the one. The partnership is focused on simplifying compliant global token tax withholding and international payroll. So they're actively trying to provide tools to navigate that complexity. But yeah, staying on top of rules in every single country, that's an ongoing challenge for anyone in this space.
Yeah.
It's less a flaw in the platform and more about the environment. They aim to give companies peace of mind as much as possible.
Peace of mind is good. And practically speaking, for a company using LiquiFi, what's the payoff in terms of efficiency?
Oh, it's huge. Think about the engineering time saved. Instead of your own devs spending weeks or months building, testing, auditing, and maintaining complex vesting smart contracts.
You just use LiquiFi's.
Exactly. Plug and play, essentially. Ready to go, audited smart contracts. Plus, it takes a massive load off the finance and operations teams. All that manual tracking, reporting, making sure distributions happen correctly, handling the tax side. It's automated. Frees up smart people to work on the actual business, not admin.
Makes sense. Save time, reduce errors.
And reduce headaches. But there's one more thing that I think is really visionary about LiquiFi.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
It's their push for standardization. They aren't just offering a tool, they're actively proposing like a whole framework and data set to make token allocations and vesting schedules consistent across the industry.
Why is that needed?
Because right now, it's kind of the Wild West. Every project documents things differently, uses different terms. It's incredibly hard to compare apples to apples if you're an investor or an employee trying to understand your compensation, or even an auditor.
Right. Lack of transparency.
Exactly. By pushing for standard terms, standard ways of reporting his data, LiquiFi is trying to bring more transparency and accountability to the entire ecosystem. That's a massive contribution, I think, towards making crypto more mature and trustworthy.
So it's like they're building the roads and also proposing the traffic laws for token management. Are companies actually using it? Is it catching on?
The signs point to, yes, definitely catching on. Sources mention that as of early 2025, LiquiFi was powering $8.5 billion in token value.
Wow, okay. That's significant.
Yeah, and used by top crypto companies and leading crypto projects. And I mean, the biggest validation is probably the Coinbase acquisition, right? A giant like that doesn't buy infrastructure unless they see it as pretty critical to the future. It suggests LiquiFi really cemented itself as a key piece of the puzzle.
Absolutely. What an amazing overview. It's clear LiquiFi isn't just some minor tool. It's become this really vital piece of plumbing for the digital asset world, making tokenomics much more manageable, secure, and hopefully more transparent for businesses.
Yeah. It really has streamlined so much complexity. So thinking ahead, as this whole digital asset space keeps evolving, you have to wonder, right? How might platforms like LiquiFi, especially by championing the standardization and transparency, how might they fundamentally change how companies attract talent and, align everyone's incentives in this increasingly decentralized future?
That is definitely something to chew on. A really compelling thought. Well, thank you for joining us for this Crypto Visionary Network Explainer on LiquiFi.